Let's preview tonight's Spurs-Blazers game. Has Wemby already locked the Rookie of the Year award?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from the Cybertron Experience.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're here at the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you all back. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great end of the work week. And we'll get you through it right here on Locked On Spurs. Hey, thanks for being a subscriber to Locked On Spurs. Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. The list goes on and on. You guys know how to find us. Hey, what are we talking about today? We're going to be looking at quickly tonight's game, Spurs-Blazers. Then we're going to bring in our guest, Brandon Medina of the Fantasy Gods. He's going to help me discuss whether or not Wemby has already locked up the Rookie of the Year award, and buy or sell. Will the Spurs be active at the trade deadline? That's coming up next in just a few short seconds. But first, Spurs are back in action tonight versus Portland. And Scoot Henderson makes his way to San Antonio. Wemby, facing his draft classmate there. Should be a fun game. So let's preview it. Spurs come into tonight 8-36. Wow. The Blazers are 13-31. Now the Spurs are 1-1 versus Portland this season. So hopefully that bodes well for the Spurs tonight at the Frost. Let's rewind the clock here. The last game the Spurs played, they got trounced by the Thunder. Wasn't a pretty game. 140. Yes, they gave up 140 points to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they only scored 114. So 140 to 114. The Thunder scored a season high 140 points on 56% shooting. There was no defense from San Antonio, while the Spurs shot 28% from the three-point line. That ain't gonna cut it. Wemby, he had 24 points and 12 rebounds. Sohan had 2 points and 5 rebounds. Keldon Johnson had 7 points off the bench. Devin Vassell had 21 points. Trey Jones did not play because of an ankle injury. Blake Wesley started in his place. He scored 12 points. He did all he could do there. So for tonight, the Spurs will be in their Icon Edition jerseys, which are basically the black jerseys. And let's get into it. We always start off with the team the Spurs are playing. So what are we watching for? Well, keep an eye on DeAndre Ayton. In 11 career games versus San Antonio, he drops double-doubles. He's done it 7 times. So that'll be an interesting match to watch, Ayton and Wemby. How will those two guys match up and compete? Kind of a good test for Wemby. Yesterday, a couple of days ago, he goes up against Chet. Today, he goes up against Andre Ayton. Guess what? And tomorrow, he takes on Karl Anthony Towns. So a good 3-game test, playing some of the bigs of the NBA right there for Wemby. Keep an eye on Malcolm Brogdon. Now, he has posted 18 or more points on the Spurs in his last 6 games versus San Antonio. So he's kind of becoming a thorn on the Spurs side there. So hopefully the Spurs can key on him, slow him down. It looks like he loves to play against those Spurs. So keep an eye on Malcolm Brogdon. Now, some good news. So even though the Spurs may be losing after the first period, let's just say that's the scenario, tonight. You look at the scoreboard. Oh, my God, Spurs are down 6-5 at the end of 1. Blazers are up. Don't panic. The Blazers on the road have never won a game whenever they're up after the first period. They cannot hold on to those leads. So you can take a deep sigh of relief if the Spurs are down. But, I'm trying to give you some sort of consolation here, guys. But anyway, now let's look at the Spurs side of things. Not good news. In the last 2 games, the Spurs have been out-rebounded by their opposition. So watch that rebounding category there. Hopefully the Spurs can clean up the glass there. And finally, again, this is a trend that was spiking up, that was doing really well. Now it's starting to come down in a negative way, and that is turnover. So it was spiking up in the sense of the Spurs were just committing few turnovers. Like we saw a game where they had 5, another game where they had 8. I mean, very low, sharing the ball, being smart with the basketball. But that seems to now be trending in the wrong direction now. The Spurs have recorded 3 consecutive games with more turnovers than their opponent. So the last 3 games, they're turning the ball over. Can't do that. can't give up easy opportunities for the opposition. So watch for that. Hopefully the Spurs will keep the turnovers to a minimum. Even Wemby said that after the game versus Thunder. He said one thing he wants to work on is trying to commit fewer turnovers. So collectively, this team has work to do. Hopefully the Spurs can get that ugly taste out of their mouth from losing to the Oklahoma City Thunder the way they did. I mean, my goodness, that was just embarrassing. But there you go. Spurs Blazers tonight. Coming up next, Brandon Medina, the fantasy guys, he's going to join me. We're going to discuss whether or not Wemby has already locked up the Rookie of the Year award and buy or sell, will the Spurs be active at the trade deadline? But first, I want to talk to you about eBay Motors. Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball and host Josh Lloyd to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit your roster. So let's see who Josh has picked for this week's eBay Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. Now, if you're a Clipper fan, he is picking Mason Plumlee. So that's the guy that Josh is saying keep an eye on for. Why? Because he's been the new starter for at least 4 weeks with the Clippers. Plumlee can be a serviceable center for your fantasy team while we wait for Zubac to return. So he is saying go get Mason Plumlee right now. Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. The same thing goes with your vehicle. Look, do you have a dream ride? Do you have a memory of a car you loved? You had experience buying just parts, whether it be from eBay or otherwise. Sometimes you start thinking about this, how I'm going to keep my car, going, or maybe getting those upgrades. That's where eBay Motors comes in. So you remember that if you think that you need a car, your car needs some fixing, you need those parts, go to eBay Motors. You want a cool upgrade? Go to eBay Motors. With over 122 million parts to choose from for your number one ride or die, they can make sure that your ride stays running smoothly. So if you need brake lights, they got it. LED headlights, eBay Motors has it. Roof rack, go to eBay Motors. Bumpers, you get the idea, eBay Motors. Whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And they got the eBay Guaranteed Fit. It's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, look, you're going to be burning rubber, not the cash. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. That's ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. And we are back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Brandon Medina. He's a familiar face around these parts here. Make sure to follow him on X at Big Poppy Brandon M, showing off that neon Nike sneaker thing he got behind him. Hey, you know what? That would be cool if you had like Iceman on it, because next to the Gervin, because Iceman was Team Nike, wasn't he? He was Converse.
So I think he might have been Converse, but I know I have the Iceman poster. I have the physical poster of him.
The OG poster or the reprint?
So it's a reprint, of course, because I wasn't born during the OG times. But
you can still find some out there in the wild.
My dad has the OG, and so he got me the reprint for college. And my junior year of college, I went as the Iceman George Gervin for Halloween. So I just carried a bag of ice. Yeah. Carried a bag of ice and wore the jersey and all that stuff with a basketball. So it was pretty awesome. But yeah,
that is hilarious. That is hilarious, man. Can you still fit in that OG uniform though?
Oh, listen. I don't know about that one.
All right. So Brendan is here to help me tackle the idea, the question.
I'm ready.
Has Wemby already locked the ROY, the Rookie of the Year award? He's faced his biggest competition twice, and if we're going individual matchups, then he's beaten Chet twice.
Yeah,
and he did it more convincingly in their recent matchup.
Yes, sir.
If the voters are going to stick to the individual matchup, it's his to lose, right?
For sure. And I think that's the thing. It depends who's voting, right? Depends who's looking at that. Depends who's really eyeing that. Because as a fan's perspective, like you said, as a straight up athlete and one person, he's clear cut. If you're looking at the team's record, if you're looking at how the team's played, all that good stuff, then you start coming into some gray area. But I will say again, it's difficult. You look at the opportunities that both of them were getting, right? I mean, first of all, let me just say this: SGA is one of my favorite players to watch in the entire league. Dude's incredible. Gilgeous Alexander.
Blake Wesley says he's going to win the MVP. He thinks that.
Dude, he is next level. He is so fun to watch, and he has court vision, and he can go score the bucket. So you look at the opportunities Chet's getting. He's getting wide open threes because he has a point guard giving him the ball, right? You look at the opportunities Wemby's getting. Wemby's having to really push and grind for points, do some really awkward layups and awkward, one-hand floaters. He's doing some dunks, all that good stuff. But he's really having a battle for his points of possession versus Chet has a point guard, a true point guard, who's really getting him open in space, letting him, spreading out the court to where if he gets it to on top of the key, he has an open lane to do a drive and kind of do his thing. So, I mean, Chet is very good, and I think we all know that. You're a dumb fan to say Chet's not good. He is good.
Yeah,
I just think Wemby's better, and given that Chet now, because of the injury, is in the Rookie of the Year race, I still think Wemby has proven it once and now proven it again, and a little bit more handily by the way he really, really kind of handled Chet. I mean, he was dominant the entire matchup.
Is it me, or does Wemby kind of have a little extra something for Chet?
There's some little pizzazz he's bringing to the table, and I think it's almost, the kid is 19, right? He has social media, somewhere along there has to be a burner account or something that he's looking at. He's reading the tweets and he's seeing the same things we are, and whether he is or someone's sending it to him or the guys in the locker room are using that for kind of some fuel to the fire, he knows. Everybody is comparing these two. The announcers know it, the broadcasters know it, the fans know it. These two will be compared throughout their careers. And hopefully they both have very lengthy careers. But right now, with the Rookie of the Year race, it's a constant, who's up, who's doing this. And you look at it, there's a lot. I will say this, man, and we got to be unbiased. Now, obviously, you and I are both Spurs fans, and being on the Locked On Spurs show, I for sure think unbiasedly that Wemby should win it. But also unbiasedly, Chet Holmgren affects the floor, and it may not be in the stats. He definitely affects things. It's just sometimes aren't statistics. And I think whereas Wemby, you look at that first half was crazy. He's blocking shots left and right. He's affecting the floor on the offensive side with rebounds and passing and making moves to the bucket. And then defensively, he's making those blocks, grabbing more rebounds, making added pressure. But again, I just think, if you're taking the whole complete person, I don't see how Wemby loses it.
I'm right there. And I'm glad you brought up stats. So Wemby and Spurs have taken on Chet's Thunder and all that stuff. So yes, team-wise, Chet is up on Wemby 2-0. So Wemby's down 0-2. All right, now, but again, if this isn't an individual award for who is the best rookie, and these are the two leaders of the pack, here we go. So who averages more points? Wemby, 20.4. To Chet's 17. Who has more rebounds? Wemby does, 10 to Chet's 7. List goes on and on. You got who
leads the league in blocks. I mean,
leads the league in blocks.
Yeah, not rookies, leads the league.
Yeah, league. Now assists are pretty close. Wemby 2.9, Chet 2.8. So that's kind of a wash. But steals, Wemby has it. Blocks, we just talked about it right now. The difference is shooting. If they're comparing these two players, these two rookies, then the shooting is edge Chet. He shoots a better percentage from the field, from the 3-point line, even effective field goal percentage. But if it's a pound for pound fight, and you put it on the scales, it tips Wemby. Do you think the fact that he has not won the Rookie of the Month award is going to impact him?
I think it could. Now, I also don't understand how he hasn't, right? Who's voting for this? How is he not? I mean, it seems like the Spurs are getting some really prime time action in these big games. And again, he's not winning the Rookie of the Month. So I'm not understanding how. Now, obviously, being in the Western Conference, you're battling Chet for that Rookie of the Month as well, right? If Chet was in the Eastern Conference, then maybe we might see something different. I just don't get I really don't get why this is a competition, truly. Only because you look at it, like you said, across the board statistically, there literally is one thing that Chet has over Wemby, and it's shooting percentage. And also, we've seen other players, star players, have very bad shooting percentages that still have been all-stars, that still have been rookie of the years, that still have been dominant. You got to put buckets up and not all of them go in, right? You got to put shots up.
And you know what? This whole narrative of, well, Chet, he's impacting more because he has better players around him than the Spurs do.
Right.
But then the counter argument is, well, Wemby has to do more because he's on a weaker team and he's relied upon more. So that should be edge Wemby if you're just looking who has a bigger impact. Because because Chet has SGA, he has Williams, he has two Williams, he has Lou Dort, he has proven veterans around him.
But even
Wemby has to do it all. And the stats we just read right now, Brendan, that's on a minutes restriction.
Yeah.
A minutes restriction.
I also am a firm believer, man. And this is I like to give you the hot takes, give you the clips for the social media for sure. Let me give it to you right now, Jeff. Out early. Let's get him out early. If you put someone like SGA on the Spurs, we're in the exact same position as the Thunder, if not better. That is a hot take. This is not a conversation. Let me tell you right now, and I firmly believe this. The Thunder right now are sitting at tied for one, right? With the Timberwolves.
Tied for one.
Let me tell you right now, you put a player like SGA in this system, it's the same shit. Truly. I really don't think it's going to be that big of a difference. Let me tell you why. Lou Dort put up 2 points. We're talking about veteran players. Put up 2 points. Williams puts up great numbers, right? Points, rebounds, assists across the board. But again, when you're playing with a point guard who can go give you 35, grab 6 rebounds, give off 10 assists, 12 assists, there's an eye for the ball that this team is lacking in our team. You're telling me you would take Wiggins and Williams over Vassell and Keldon and a team like this with Wemby, who we just said is statistically putting up better numbers than Chet. You put those 4 and then you plug in whoever else. You plug in Zach, you plug in Jeremy Sohan. Jeremy Sohan has had a few games where he's going over 20 and he's having great games. I think we're in that same position if you get a player like SGA, which hopefully we could if Trae Young wants to make his way down to the Alamo City sometime soon. I really don't think we're that far off. Now, can I say we're absolutely going to be number 1 like they are now? No, but I think the potential is absolutely there if you give a player like Gilgeous-Alexander, who I think is probably a perennial top 10 player in the league.
Yeah, he definitely knows how to bust up the Spurs career-wise. He sees silver and black, and he's just like, okay, he
career
is the
nights,
MVP candidate. Yeah, career nights. I mean, the Thunder had a career night versus the Spurs a couple of days ago. They scored 140. Yeah, 140 on the Spurs, and it was lopsided. And they even shot 56% from the field for the entire game.
Yeah.
So but circling back to the point here of the Roy race, I think it's Wemby's to lose. I don't think him not winning Rookie of the Month is going to impact him. I think as the season progresses and that minutes restriction gets completely lifted, because right now, as of this recording, it's at 30. I'm waiting for the day they go, you know what? Go for it. Knock yourself out, Wemby. Get out there.
Yeah.
But he's going to have some tests coming up soon tonight. And I know he's not one of the best centers, but you got DeAndre Ayton. But then tomorrow night,
he's a max player. That he's one of the best.
Yeah, he's a max player, right?
He definitely has that mentality.
And then tomorrow night is Cat.
Yep.
So another test for him.
Who is definitely a tough test.
And he just faced Joel Embiid, and we know what Joel Embiid did to the Spurs.
Let's not even talk about that. Let's keep it moving.
Yikes. So I think Wemby's progression, and I think if we're looking at it like kind of like a graph, I think it's going to be like this: like Wemby shooting up, and then maybe Chet kind of leveling out like that. I think that's what we might see there. But in my opinion, I do think it's Wemby's to lose at this point moving forward, based on how he is playing. All right. Again, he is Brendan Medina with the Fantasy Gods and perhaps a new show.
Yeah, perhaps a new show.
He's going to discuss that in a few minutes. But coming up next, I'm going to put him on the hot seat. Buy or sell. Will the Spurs be active on the trade deadline? That's coming up next on Locked On Spurs. Hey, I want to talk to you about Grammarly. When it comes to writing, Grammarly is there for you, to support you from start to finish. So for over 10 years, Grammarly has been powered by AI technology but basically you can trust it. Yeah, you can trust this technology to help you across all the places where you write the most. Emails, letters, whatever it is, memos. Grammarly is there for you. Grammarly helps you do more, even more than you can, and be even 10 times more, so much more productive by using Grammarly. With just one click, you can easily brainstorm, rewrite, reply, use those suggestions that Grammarly gives you based on your context and goals. So you can improve productivity for you and pretty much your entire team. Right now, let me tell you, I use Grammarly so much. I lean on it. When I'm writing for Ken's 5 and I got to get these articles, I just did one when I had a conversation with Blake Wesley and Trey Jones about Blake Wesley. Grammarly was there for me, helping me kind of tighten it up, clean it up for you, the readers. But yeah, Grammarly has been there for me. I highly recommend it. So if you're stuck writing at work, Grammarly can help you build ideas, outlines, even tips. Need to polish your writing? Grammarly's there for you to help you rephrase, paraphrase, rewrite, be more concise. You need to get through emails quicker? Grammarly's there for you. Summarize your emails. They can provide suggestions for you, how to reply in just seconds. Yeah, Grammarly does it all for you. Got a big presentation coming up? Go to Grammarly. You see where I'm going with this, right? Grammarly is what you need right now. The best part, it is free to use. So be more productive at work. Go to Grammarly.com/podcast. Download it for free today. That's Grammarly.com/podcast. Grammarly.com/podcast.
This is Emily Swallow, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Brandon Medina. Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry. That's not Brandon Medina. That's the Hulk.
Oh, hey, my goodness.
When did Bruce Banner get here?
Goodness gracious.
The Hulk, man. Look at that guy. No, I'm kidding. It is Brandon Medina, Fantasy Gods, and a new show he's going to be teasing in just a few minutes. But yeah, we always love to have Brandon here. And make sure to follow him on X at Big Poppy Brandon and buy or sell time right here on Locked On Spurs. So, Brandon, the trade deadline is right around the corner. It's coming up soon.
Yep.
We know what the Spurs have in their closet. We got those picks. We got that cash. We got players that can flip. Do you think, buy or sell, will they be active at the trade deadline?
Listen, you know me, man. I'm a gambling man, right?
Yes, you are.
That's part of the show. That's part of the show that I do, the Fantasy Guys. That's part of me, the person. I am absolutely buying that we are going to be active. Now, here's the thing. I'm pulling a Vegas. When you go to Vegas, you take money that you are expecting to lose, right? You got to understand that when you go to Vegas or any casino. I'm doing the same here. I'm buying in, expecting the Spurs to be the Spurs and to let me down and not do anything in the trade deadline, right? That's what we normally see. And if it is, it's something very minor, right? It's nothing major that's going to completely revolutionize this team. But I am buying that we're going to be active, and I'm actually I'm buying in again.
Oh, doubling down.
I'm doubling down, right? And we're doing a parlay. Not only are they going to be active,
doing a parlay.
Not only are we going to be active, I think the Spurs are going to get themselves a star. I think we're going to go figure out how to get a star on this team. Now, when I say star, listen, you can be the judge. There's two names that I really, really have seen the most that I've been seeing that people are talking about on Spurs Twitter. And so Trae Young's number one for me, of course.
I knew it.
All of us love to have Trae Young. First off, Trae Young's dad has Texas Tech ties, right? He's a Texas kid. You look at Trae, he's already basically said without being as
and you're a Red Raider too, right?
I'm a Red Raider,
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So you look at that. He went to I think he went to Oklahoma. But looking at that, looking at him, looking at his family ties, looking at the respect he has for Pop. And then you look at how he's talked about Wemby, and he said openly that he's open to playing with Wemby. And, there's been a bunch of people kind of writing off little interviews he's done and making them a little bit bigger than what it might be. But I think he'd be comfortable here. And based off of what he has in Atlanta, I feel like you're getting a potentially step up when you look at the potential of where this team can go.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you don't have DeJounte, right?
Yeah.
There's talks about DeJounte. I don't want DeJounte back. I'll welcome him back. I don't. After the
so you wouldn't be mad.
I wouldn't be mad.
Okay,
I wouldn't be mad, but there's some uncomfortable conversations that will need to be had after what he said about San Antonio.
It's like getting reunited with your ex, right?
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like,
listen,
sometimes you got to just stay an ex, right?
Yeah.
And so my thing is, Trae Young is the person that is your ex's best friend that they stop talking and you're like, hey, you know what? Like maybe we could be something. Who knows, right, Trae? So send Trae the "Hey, you up?" message at 3 a.m. You know what I mean? Send Trae that text. What's up, big head? Send Trae Young that text.
Well, what are you going to be giving up though? Because the Hawks they're gonna have a high sticker price for that.
Here's my thing, and y'all could hate me, come at me, and if you come at me, make sure you follow me on Twitter.
That's right. You see it on your screen, everybody.
We have. You correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Spurs guru, the legend.
Go ahead.
Jeff
I'm listening.
We have 25, 26, 27, all of Atlanta's picks. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Give them all back. Who cares?
Ooh.
Give them all.
It's hard for me to do that for next year because next year's draft is going to be
and
fire.
Throw in. Okay, then do it 26, 27, maybe this year. So somewhere here in this year.
Okay.
And give them 3. I don't care. Give them 3. Give Devontae Graham. Give Doug McDermott.
Throw in Osmond too, right?
I mean, if they ask, I like Chetty a lot. I like Chetty a lot, dude. I go to the game so much now that I'm a season ticket member, and God, I love Chetty so much. But I think you give him 3, give him Devontae Graham, give him McDermott. And then here's the thing. You're getting an all-star who still has 3 years left on his contract, who's going to be immediate help on this team. Now, he's not going to be able to push this team to get into the playoffs, but let him grow with this team. Let this be a wash year of just, let's see how this team can grow together. Yeah. Let him learn. Let him come and score. Trae Young would look so damn good in silver and black. That's my number one wish. What do you think?
I'm going to sell. I don't think they'll be active.
To that level, maybe not.
Yeah. I think you'll see the little moves like, all right, here's Doug McDermott, the obvious, the ones that are obvious, your Osmonds and your
I've heard Gary Harris a lot. That's what I keep hearing.
Yeah.
Gary Harris from the Magic.
Kyle Lowry, the word is like they may waive him if they can't get anything for him. It's veteran point guard. I mean, this is the Spurs fans are wanting. There it is.
It's true.
Won a title. He won a title. So, but no, I'm going to sell. I don't think they're going to be active like that. Now, I expect that blockbuster move in the offseason. I expect something huge like that.
Yeah.
But I think at the point they are in the season, I just don't think they'll do it.
Maybe you're right. Can I throw you one more that I want?
Go ahead.
Throw you one more. Same thing. Veteran style point guard, right? Maybe doesn't have the name, but in my eyes, still very much a star. So
hit me.
What if you do Doug McDermott, you do Chetty, and you do a first round pick?
Okay.
And you go get someone like Malcolm Brogdon, who I think is a very, very good point guard who plays
against the Spurs, that's for sure. Drops double-doubles. He has 18 games in a row with double-doubles against the Spurs.
Dude, maybe he's showing pop. I really want to come play for
I really want to come
do this for you all. Yeah. I think Malcolm Brogdon's great, man. You look at this season, right? Fits that Spurs style. He's not this huge name that pops off the page, but I mean,
but an upgrade, but a significant
massive upgrade. And not only that, you have Brogdon, and then you let Trae come off, and you have those two, that duo. I mean, that's a great. You're not losing much from Brogdon to Trae Jones. Now, obviously, Brogdon I think is a better facilitator, an IQ player,
big and just physically,
yeah. But I mean, you even hear Pop where he said this team, it's an IQ dilemma, right? There's an IQ situation where they're trying to.
He called them dumb.
I'm trying to make it a little bit nicer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think Brogdon can definitely ease that, and he's going to be able to get Wemby the ball. Like he's gonna be able to create opportunities for Wemby, for Vassell, for Keldon's also coming off the bench. You have Jeremy Sohan, you have people like that who you can kind of plug and play. And if you're only losing McDermott, Chetty, and a first round pick, I think that gets done. There's picks that there's trades that happen in this league that I'm like, that's all that it took. And I feel like
and the thing about it too is like the Spurs, they got enough in the bank. Seriously, they got enough in the bank to afford even maybe a bit of a sting of a sticker shock. They can do it. They got the cash, they got the players, and they got the draft first and second round picks. We all know how many tons of them.
Yeah.
So you got to use them. They got to use them. They can't let them just sit there. So why not? Yeah, but I see them using them more so maybe on draft night, well into the off season. Look, it's going to be a short season, everybody. We all know that. There's no play-in. There's going to be no playoffs. It's going to be 82 games and we're done.
Yeah.
So they'll have a lot of time to wheel and deal and get things ready for next year. I think Brian Wright has been on the clock, but I think he's going to be times 10 this upcoming off season.
Yeah.
But no. I think ultimately, I'm going to sell for the trade deadline. Now, will they make a minor move? Sure, I could definitely see that. Hey, I mean, especially for Devontae. Here's a guy that can provide instant offense.
I agree, man. I agree.
And they're not using him. That's what's kind of a head scratcher, Pop. Sometimes the ball doesn't fall in the basket, but yet you got a guy on the roster who can make that ball fall in the basket, and you don't use him.
And he's a veteran point guard. We have a guy who was like a budding all-star for a long time.
His defense isn't the greatest, but still, I mean, you need offense. The Thunder, what happened against that team? They could have used him, but I digress.
Do you think point guard or guard is the way to go, or would you look at like a Lowry Markkanen who maybe got a big contract, would have an asking price?
Lowry on there. I go Lowry.
Yeah, over a point guard.
Yeah, for now, yeah.
Really?
If it's right now, like on the table, then
is it because you can't stand watching Zach Collins? Is that what it is?
No. It has nothing to do with that. It's just that
because I'm in that boat. Me and Zach Collins, I want to like him so bad, and I can't.
Yeah.
I can't get around. There's boneheaded plays that are made every time I watch Zach Collins, and I'm like, come on, brother. Like,
is that why you took off your Zach Collins jersey before we started recording?
Dude, I would never. I wouldn't have one. There's no. I would have had a Bassey jersey before I had.
Oh, you had a Bassey jersey before a Collins jersey.
Dude, listen, no disrespect. I like Zach. I just think there's a lot of plays. I have a group text with buddies who are big Spurs fans, and his name gets thrown around there way too much for comfort. Yeah. We watch it, and sometimes he can be so physical, and sometimes he just gets bodied around. And I'm like, Zach, you gotta be one or the other, brother.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, we'll see what the Spurs do at the trade deadline. Is right around the corner. But I know Spurs fans are going to be doing this a lot. Like, let's go.
Time's ticking.
Time's ticking. All right. He is Brandon Medina with the Fantasy Gods, as well as a new show. Brandon, fill us in. What's going on? Obviously, tell us about Fantasy Gods. But you got something cooking.
Something's cooking for sure. We got something brewing. The Fantasy Gods is still going every Sunday for all of you people who love shenanigans and love sports betting like I do. Obviously, massive sports betting weekend coming up with the NFL. And then following weekends coming up with the Super Bowl, and you have a lot of NBA bets we're going to be throwing out. So we're going to be a full betting show moving forward. And then, of course, the fantasy football show again when we come into July timeframe. But from now on until then, it's going to be full betting, full sports news, talking about where you can find some money and some value. And I'm also bringing in a comedy show. My buddy Johnny Tejeda, man, my buddy Johnny Drama. So we're going to have a comedy show coming out called Generation Duo. We're going to need to have you on the show at some point, Jeff.
Oh, you got me in.
For sure. It is a pop culture comedy show, not meant to be taken super duper serious, but it's all about the geeky stuff that we love. And then every show, Jeff, we do a 5-round generational duo draft. Okay. So we do a draft at the end of the show. The first show is going to be coming out sometime next week. And we did a 5-round best dad rock bands of all time. 5 rounds. And it was very, very solid. And so
give me an example of that. Like what's a dad rock?
Okay, so I'm gonna give you give you
Boston or something?
No, so I'll give you a hint. The most dad rock band of the past 2 generations is probably Creed, right? Everybody knows Creed. Love Creed. You have you have Nickelback, these bands that people are listening to that your dad's listened to. And so being that it's gonna be a really fun time, man. I'm in my 20s.
I just 30s. Showed my age.
I'm telling you. You said Boston.
You said Nickelback. I went to Boston.
Yeah, loves that. Loves that.
Yeah.
Well, I was going there too, and then we have to set some parameters. But we're gonna be doing fun stuff like that. We the next show we have after that first show. We're doing best movies to never win an Oscar. So top 5-round draft.
That's a good one. Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of really fun stuff, but it's gonna be a very, very funny show. We're bringing in news stories, pop culture stories, and just really shooting the with my buddy. And so it's gonna be a fun time. That's gonna be on the Alamo City Podcast Network as well as a separate YouTube network for us too. But be looking out for that. I'm gonna have him on the Fantasy Gods with me this Sunday to preview that and to go through some betting with me. So it's gonna be a fun time, man. We look forward to it, and we'll be having you on the show sometime soon.
Yeah. And I think you did say it's going to be on YouTube as well, right?
Yep, it'll be on
Okay,
YouTube
okay,
and
good
on
point,
Spotify, Apple Music,
Okay.
all that good stuff. So we're gonna get all the push for that one too.
By the way, do you approve of Optimus Prime dunking on me?
I do like the Optimus Prime Jordan logo type stuff. That's sick. I also saw the Darth Vader one that's just out of the shop.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
no, dude, you got some nice ones, man. You got some clean ones over there.
This is all pleasure, by the way, and I showed it to him. I mean, this is a deep dive. If you know, you know.
I love that. Is that One Punch Man?
It's a One Punch taking on Goku.
Goku? Yeah, sick.
Yeah. All right. He is Brandon Medina, the Fantasy Gods, and a new show coming up. I mean, you can make sure to follow all that information and more on his X at Big Poppy Brandon M. Go to the Alamo City Sportscast on YouTube. Brandon, I think you're up this weekend. I think you are, right? Okay, you're up this weekend. Yep. So check that out, Fantasy Gods. And we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Ken's 5 Plus app. The list goes on and on. We'll be back next week. How about more Spurs? Yay, Spurs in this bad season. But hey, oh God, it's been rough, Brendan. It's been rough. But for quickly, Locked On Sports Today is a new show on YouTube, 24/7 sports streaming channel on YouTube. Go subscribe. The local, national, regional hosts are all there. I'm there. You might stop in and catch us, and you'll see Brandon there with me. So again, Locked On Sports Today on YouTube. Go subscribe right now. So for Brandon Medina, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.